So, Peter and I, along with a group of very talented writers, have started to map out an 8 to 10 year plan of what DC Studios will be in film, television, and gaming.
So, DC Studios has been soldiering on with establishing its new interconnected universe, with shows such as Creature Commandos and the Lanterns TV series, and movies including Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow and the upcoming Superman movie with David Corenswet releasing later in the year. Now, in March of 2023, I actually made a video on some projects I would love to see in the DCU, more specifically what characters I would love to see introduced, and a lot has certainly changed since I made that video, with Peacemaker Season 2 set to release later this year after Superman. So, in this video, which essentially acts as more of a quote-unquote part 2, I'm going to take a look at some more characters from the wider DC universe from the comics that I think desperately need to be adapted. Now, to make things easier, I'm going to recap some important things that I discussed previously. So in my previous DC characters video, the 5 choices I discussed in no particular order were Peacemaker, Green Arrow, Nightwing, John Constantine, and The Flash. So for all intents and purposes, I won't be including those characters on this updated list, because my opinions from that video minus the Peacemaker one do remain largely unchanged. Plus we have the news of Dick Grayson in the DCU with the release of the Dynamic Duo movie releasing in 2028, which is pretty far off in terms of movie standards. So with that part out of the way, let's take a look at some more characters that I think need to join James Gunn's new DC universe. So this is one of the characters I've been dying to talk about in a DCU video for quite a while now. Dr. Fate and the Justice Society of America by extension were, in my opinion, one of the few great things to come from the previous DC Expanded Universe, and by extension the Black Adam movie. Pierce Brosnan I felt was a brilliant choice for the role, and so I would love to see him come back to this universe to portray a new version of Kent Nelson in a new DC universe. After all, we are seeing John Cena and Viola Davis returning to their roles in this new world, while Jason Momoa, an actor from the previous world, is returning in this new reboot, albeit playing a completely different character. Now, Dr. Fate is one of those characters who could act as kind of a backdoor into the more mystical side of the universe, in a similar manner to how Doctor Strange unlocks that door for the MCU. Now, regarding the medium, I think a live-action series could perhaps work, where we see Kent's origins and how he obtains the helm of Nabu. Although then again, that could work in an animation depending on logistical factors. Okay, now I know this may seem a little confusing at first glance, but hear me out. Yes, we do already have Zoe Maridueña's Blue Beetle movie, and an upcoming animated series on the way, and I'm not trying to undermine the work of everyone on that film or the upcoming animated production. But in this case, I'm actually talking about Ted Kord's Blue Beetle. Now, Angel Manuel Soto, who directed the movie, said that he expects Ted Kord's version of the character to hopefully make an appearance in the upcoming Booster Gold series, which I think would be very cool, as Ted Kord and Booster Gold are grouped together quite commonly in the comics, and they have quite a close friendship. Now, by extension, Ted can act as a new branch in the DCU, mainly because the Superman movie is taking place in a world where a lot of major heroes in the DCU are already established, with Superman introducing Hawkgirl, Guy Gardner, Metamorpho, and Mr. Terrific, whilst Creature Commandos more recently introduced us, albeit briefly, to the DCU's equivalent version of Batman. We don't know who is playing Batman, but we got some close looks at the design, which is very exciting. Now, regarding who could play Ted, I think Jason Sudeikis would be great because he's the fancast favourite. Now, the mid-credit scene of the Blue Beetle movie reveals that Ted is in fact still alive, and Soto is optimistic about the possibility of this storyline actually continuing. Okay, yes, I know this seems a little out there because of how much we see Batman, but hear me out. Now, it may not seem likely, but yes, I too believe that Batman is oversaturating DC, and it's been an issue for decades. However, in the case of Batman Beyond, we don't see him enough, at least when it comes to outside of the comics. So for those who don't know and aren't really well versed in the current DC media, Batman Beyond is Terry McGinnis, a teenager from a futuristic Gotham City dubbed Neo Gotham, who takes up the mantle of Batman when Bruce Wayne has retired. Now, we were remarkably close to getting a Batman Beyond movie in animated form. This is kind of well known, but Patrick Harpin and Yuki Demers, the latter of whom worked on the Spider-Verse movies, pitched an animated Batman Beyond movie in the same style to Warner Brothers, and what initially started out as a never actually turned into a maybe, so this is definitely possible. Now, while I'm sure a lot of us would love to see a Batman Beyond live-action movie, I think animation works better for him, seeing as it's where he was originally introduced. And there's always the option to have McGuinness make the jump to live-action, with Gunn's plans for this new DCU to span across TV, film, animation and gaming, whatever comes first. Well, animation came first, but still, my point stands. Now, this is a character that when it comes to the movies we have seen very little of, but that's not for lack of trying. Black Canary is, for all intents and purposes, a brilliant hero in the DCU, and that's why I want to see her in a DCU Justice League, whenever we do end up getting her, of course. Now, yes, she is commonly partnered up with Green Arrow, the two are married after all, but Dinah is an interesting character on her own, because for one thing, she's an expert fighter, with many suggesting she could take on the likes of Batman and win. Another reason being is that Dinah is what I would call a quote-unquote legacy hero, with her mother being the original holder of the mantle in the Justice Society, which allows us to see that team in this universe. Now, Dinah in the comics also has a unique father-daughter relationship with Ted Grant, otherwise known as Wildcat, another member of the JSA, and so seeing that dynamic would be a great idea that I feel could translate well to the DCU in some capacity. Another character we don't see enough of is Zatanna. Now, I've talked about the magic and monster side of DC here and there, including in this very video, but Zatanna for me is one of the more solid links to her because she's an actual magician. Now, interestingly, Zatanna does have a link to the wider DC universe, with her father in some continuities having been the one to train Batman in escape artistry, so that's a link we could explore in the universe if necessary. However, Zatanna herself is a powerful character on her own. In fact, there were rumours in the summer of 2022 that pop star Dua Lipa was in talks to star in a DC film, which was in fact rumoured to be Zatanna. This was during the point where Dua Lipa was starting to explore acting, so this is where we saw her pop up in that Matthew Vaughn film Argyle, which I need to watch still. I know a lot of people say it's terrible. However, regardless of whether those rumours were true or not, the movie was likely scrapped with the rest of the DCEU plans when James Gunn came on board with Peter Safran to helm a new rebooted universe. Although I'm not entirely opposed to seeing Dua star as the character, but also feel free to put your own casting ideas for Zatanna and by extension any of the characters I talk about in the comments. A character that I don't think we've ever seen before in live action, Static. So for those who don't know, Static, aka Virgil Hawkins I think, was created by comic book legend Dwayne McDuffie under the imprint of Miles Sam Comics. So Static, contrary to popular belief, for those who aren't well immersed in this area of the comics world, didn't start off as being a DC character. Now, for a long time there was a lot of confusion with the character's name due to the animated show named Static Shock, but the character's name in the comics has always been Static. Now, there are a few reasons we haven't seen the character make a live-action debut. One of the notable reasons is that there was a lawsuit concerning the ownership of the character. However, that's not really something I'm at liberty to discuss, so I'll move on. The other reason we haven't seen Static in live action before is because Michael B. Jordan was set to produce and potentially direct a Static adaptation from what was still the DCEU, but the project got stuck in development hell. I still think that we could get a Static project, and based on the success of Creed 3, I would love to see what Michael B. Jordan could bring to the character, especially if he brings in some anime themes as well. Now, this next pick is technically a team, but still counts. Now, I've actually mentioned this group in my Teen Titans video from quite a while ago. Introduced in the New 52, the Outlaws originally consisted of Jason Todd, Roy Harper, and Starfire. Now, we are likely to see these characters in the movies, at least in some capacity. Jason we're likely going to be seeing in Brave and the Bold as part of the larger Bat family, and potentially in the Dynamic Duo movie as well. Whilst with Starfire, we're likely going to see her in the Teen Titans movie as a member of the team, and it's been confirmed that we're going to be seeing the original animated lineup in this film. Now, it's not just these three heroes who have been a member of the group. Later on in the comics, the members of this team have included the likes of Artemis and even Bizarro as well. Now, I could see this being an HBO TV series, along the lines of what Gunn has planned for the Lanterns TV show. Maybe an 8-episode series would work, and we could see Jason forming the team. And it also depends on whatever story we do end up getting in this world. But in conclusion, those were some more of the characters that I would love to see introduced in Gunn's new DC universe. If you guys have any of your own suggestions, then by all means let me know in the comments below. But in the meantime, be sure to subscribe and stick around for more videos like this. Thank you all for watching, and I will see you very soon.